YouTuber's life is in danger. I don't know what this is.
It's no secret that journalism isn't as respected as it once was. It certainly doesn't have the pedigree that it used to. Most people find journalist to be synonymous with clown, and it's
Or
really
activist. I think activist is really what's fair.
not hard to see why in a lot of cases,
Yeah.
when even today you have major publications like the Wall Street Journal in particular, who I'm going to name and shame real quick, who are writing
Is this the
goofy
FTX
dog
one?
shit articles that are just blatantly wrong and misleading about Sam Bankman-Fried.
Yeah.
Sam Bankman-Fried
Yeah, this is very true. I saw this stuff too. Like, yeah, you see all these articles about Sam Bankman-Fried, about how he's actually just this goofball that let things get away from him, or, you know, like how he's actually really good looking and that's what we should be focusing on, not the fraud. Like, the guy is just, I mean, he's getting fluffed up by these major media publications. And like, what's amazing to me about this is the fact that anybody takes these publications seriously at all. Like, how do you read an article like this and then think 3 weeks later, oh, let's hear what they have to say about this other thing? I don't understand it. It makes no sense to me.
was the head of FTX, the cryptocurrency empire with billions upon billions of dollars in it that collapsed overnight and is a blatant case of fraud. But for some reason, Wall Street Journal and other publications, but Wall Street Journal in particular, has been playing this game of hide Sam's cock in their mouth, and they've been writing articles like refusing to admit that it was fraud and making all kinds of weird excuses for it, like, oh, the reason FTX failed was actually because supporters lost.
Donald Trump is in here. That may be how Donald Trump finally crashes and burns too, writes. Like, what the fuck is this? I don't understand it at all.
Confidence in Sam Bankman-Fried, or Sam Bankman-Fried was the world's most generous billionaire who had plans to save the world, and now he can't since his empire collapsed. Playing the world's smallest violin for a fucking criminal, a fraud. It's so weird, and it's things like that that give...
Well, it's not weird at all whenever you remember the fact that he's politically aligned with them and he's also financially supporting them in other circumstances. So whenever somebody agrees with you and they're giving you money, well, then the whole fraud thing, I mean, like, look, it is what it is. So that's really the reason why that people are making excuses for it. And it's like, that's fine. Like, I have no problem. Like, if you want to take a sponsorship for this, but like, you should not go and act like this is some sort of fucking objective journalism. It's not. It's an ad.
Journalism as a whole, a very negative reputation. I know I've already spent quite a bit of time talking about this, but it's just infuriating. Yeah. Oh, no, he's not a fraud. It's because he was too nice.
No, I don't think it's infuriating. What is infuriating to me is that people continue to look to these mainstream publications for validation. I think that any publication that publishes things that are false, misleading, intentionally deceptive, or inflammatory, just stop taking what they're saying seriously. Just stop reading it. And if everybody did that, then they'd be irrelevant and they'd go out of business. Problem solved. Hello, Fox News. What do you think, that I'm like this super fucking hardcore conservative Republican and I'm a fan of Fox News? What do you think, Fox News is any better? No, they're both bad. Like, what do you mean? Like, who's talking about Fox News?
Too smart. We didn't see the vision, so it's actually our fault. You know, Sam Bankman-Fried's a goddamn angel. It's fucking sickening, and it leads to this stigma around journalism. But there are great journalists out there, and the one I want to talk about today is a journalist who is legitimately putting his life on the line in order to deliver extremely important stories to the public.
He's talking about Hillary Clinton.
And he's actually a YouTuber. His name is Friendly Jordies. He's a comedian who has, for the last couple of years, been very much delivering some of the hardest-hitting journalism in all of Australia.
Okay.
And the price he's paid for this is a huge one. He's been threatened more times than Bugs Bunny by Elmer Fudd. He is constantly getting threats from powerful people. He's been sued. Even very recently, he was involved in a defamation case that resulted in Google, YouTube, having to pay $715,000 over this defamation case. He was labeled racist or abusive for a series of videos he made talking about a person in power. He's done so many stories about corruption at even the highest level, and most recently, the scariest thing has happened to him. His life was put in jeopardy. his house was firebombed. He made a video going over the situation, but it's also been reported by so many Australian news outlets as well.
17th November, a firebomb was set off in my neighbor's house. We don't know who started it, but luckily it was put out quickly. Last night, my house was firebombed. Appears to be another deliberate attack. Holy fuck, man.
Well, the situation is as follows. His neighbor's house was firebombed on the 17th of November. It was luckily put out pretty quickly. And then shortly after that, his house was firebombed, and a lot of it was damaged, obviously. Now, this appears to be a deliberate attack. The fact that his neighbors got firebombed and then he did makes it seem like they originally went for him to begin with, but were too fucking stupid to figure out which one was his residence, so they gambled on a 50-50 and lost. Kind of like when you gamble on a fart and shit your pants, but then they came back and tried to finish the job.
Yeah, they shit their pants no matter what. Exactly.
It's fucking terrifying
Yeah.
stuff. I'm going to play you a bit of his interview with the media here when they were waiting for him outside of his house.
I would hope that the New South Wales strike force that is supposedly set up for fixated people and terrorists would be looking into this instead of a comedian and his team for 6 months straight at the whim of a previous premier that all of you defended for his last 10 years. And then when he came out, and even after all the New York stuff, you're still sitting there defending him now. I saw all of your articles today where you all wrote all of the same little narrative that you write every time.
Wait, what's this here? All right, let me listen to this again. Sorry, I was like...
Even after all the New York stuff, you're still sitting there defending him now. I saw all of your articles today.
Who's the person who he's talking about? Yeah, so it's the media, it's the newscaster. Okay.
Where you all wrote all of the same little narrative that you write every time. I would hope that you would put just as much attention on the fact that that happened as you have on trying to assassinate my character over the last year. Thanks for your time.
Did something happen here a week ago, Jordan?
Now, his real name is Jordan, and
he just walked away. He said, fuck that. Oh my God.
even in the face of
that was
his
pretty
life
badass.
being threatened, he still rolls up calm and collected like Kratos, keeping his slap in hand primed and ready for these media cheeks. And it's not like his anger is misplaced. He has had very less than favorable articles written about him with a lot of labels attached to that, which I don't think are deserved when the entire purpose of Jordy's content recently has been exposing corruption at the highest level, which is an extremely important thing to be doing, where I feel he should be rewarded instead of vilified, but, you know, that's just me.
Well, why do you think that the people that are running the government and the media are upset about somebody who's exposing corruption? I wonder why why would this ever happen? I mean, I don't know. I mean, it could be any reason. It just makes you think, you know?
I
Really
don't
makes
live
you
in
think.
Australia here, but he has been treated very poorly by the people that are now standing outside of his home, showing no empathy at all, no sympathy at all, just trying to circle
farm
around
it.
like vultures on roadkill to get their scoop for
Yeah.
their clicks. And he rightfully is upset at them and points out a bit of the hypocrisy surrounding it. I'd also like to add a bit of context surrounding Jordy's statement about the fixated people and terrorist statement he made in that clip. Well, it's because one of his producers was arrested by the unit that's supposed to be monitoring and stopping, like, terrorists, I guess. It's the Fixated Persons Unit. His producer was arrested for stalking. What a remarkable joke. It would almost be laughable if it wasn't so goddamn scary. He was arrested for
So they were trying to, like, investigate something, and then they got arrested for stalking. Oh, wow.
stalking and intimidating when doing their reporting on the person that they were talking about by the goddamn department that's supposed to be about, like, you know, threats, like terrorist threats. Like, holy shit, that is mind-blowing. So Jordy's really does have every right to, of course, be upset. And
Yeah.
obviously, after his house being firebombed like this, it's a fucking terrifying situation. He does very deep reporting. He exposes a lot of corruption, and I feel like he's probably one of the hardest hitting journalists Australia has at the moment that I'm aware of. He's celebrated by a lot of Australians as well for
It seems
all
like
of
a
his
lot of people
reporting.
like him.
And now his life is in danger, and it's hard to say who's responsible for the attack. He mentions in the same clip that because he's been doing reporting on, a lot of corruption at a very high level, it's hard to say who actually may have carried out the attack.
Obviously, we've
Yeah, because you never really know what happened, because you've always got a situation where, like, whenever these articles are written about somebody and then that person is, like, that person is publicly known and people know where they live, there will be people that read that article and want to take action on it. And they'll go and harass that person in real life. Like, this happens all the time on Twitter whenever there's some Karen that's not on her medication that pops off on a barista, and then they go and get, like, her husband fired from his job. Like, yeah, this happens all the time. So I don't think it's necessarily, like, I don't think that, like, him getting his house firebombed is, like, 100% the media. It could just be other people that were, or the media or the government, or the people he's trying to, like, expose their corruption. I don't think it's a 100% chance, but it's a good place to start.
Some extremely dangerous reporting over the last year, I suppose, of a bunch of extremely powerful people and corporations. There is many people that would want to do that. I obviously can't say who I suspect it is, but I do have like a short list in my head of who I think would have done it.
What a fucking horrifying situation for anyone to be in, and yet somehow Jordy's maintains a very composed demeanor. He continues joking throughout the rest of the video, even joking about the situation, and somehow staying, like, calm and collected, which is fucking baffling. The man is just built different. He's got tungsten throughout his body. It's fucking wild. Now, it doesn't matter how you feel about political opinions or whatever. I think everyone should be able to agree that his house being firebombed is outrageous. That's a huge problem, and it should result in a very thorough investigation that leads to people being arrested for this act.
Yeah, I think that whenever somebody who is involved in the media or involved with politics or something like this is a victim of violence, that there should be extra attention paid to it. And the reason for that is because if you don't do that, that's how you have that's literally what terrorism is. Like, it's literally terrorism. So, I mean, I don't know really what else to say about that.
I think everyone should agree with that. But yeah, I want to mention that Jordy's also does have a Patreon if you want to directly support his content beyond just watching the videos. I'll go ahead and link that in the description below. And yeah, I think this is just terrible that it happened, and hoping for his safety in the future, and hoping they catch whoever was responsible for the firebomb attack. That's about it.
Yeah, for real. Like, holy fuck, man. I had no idea about any of this. Like, this is the first time I'm hearing about any of this stuff happening. I mean, like, this same stuff happens in the US, by the way. Like, obviously Australia has, like, their own laws, and, you know, that's kind of like their problem and their thing. But, like, this same shit happens to people in the US too, and it's always really fucking disgusting. And again, like, I think that a really good example of, like, a soft version of this is how much the you know, these, like, mainstream media publications are fluffing up Sam Bankman-Fried. I think so. It's very, very annoying. A powerful person paid someone to scare him. Yeah, I think that could have happened for sure. I mean, it's also disappointing whenever you know that a person who did that, like, I hope that everybody supports the guy and they put a lot of, I don't know, like, really what the word is. They put a lot of money behind helping him too. Like, I mean, that's really what it comes down to, is because, like, this guy, I mean, a lot of support behind him, because I don't think that, like, having a person who is exposing corruption is better for all of the people that are in society, I would say. Like, there are certain examples of, like, maybe it would be better if, you know, certain things were not known, but these are, like, weird niche situations. Like, most of the time, this is not for the betterment of the people. These are people that have governmental jobs, and they are using them to make money at the expense of average voters. Yeah, Jordy, big question is, why is the law more focused on taking down Jordy than trying to find the people that firebomb his house? Well, it's simple. It's because that he's criticizing them. Like, it's that's all there is to it. He's criticizing them, and he's criticizing people that they are, I don't know, like, how do you say it? Like, he's criticizing people that are, that they have accountability to. So, yeah, that's basically why. The media is against him. It seems really hard, but he's doing what he can. Well, as I said before, the media is only as strong as the people who promote it and care about it. So if nobody watches the media, then nobody cares what the media says. So it's like, does it really matter what, like, some random, like, 300 viewer streamer thinks, or, you know, not 300 is a lot, some random 3 viewer streamer thinks? No, nobody gives a fuck, because they don't matter. So why not just treat the media organizations the same way? Who watches media nowadays? You don't matter too? I don't think anybody really matters in, like, the grand scheme of things, but absolutely, like, if you have a bigger platform and you have more people that are listening to you, you clearly matter more. Your voice clearly matters more than people that nobody's listening to. Like, this isn't some sort of, like, ego thing. It's just common sense. Like, yes, obviously, if more people listen to you, what you say matters more. Like, this is not an ego thing. It's common fucking sense. People care about Fox Media. It's there too big there too. Oh yeah, of course it is. Sure. Let me link you guys the video too. Yeah, media still matters, and these people relate credibility to their articles. Wikipedia links them as sources. Yeah, I think that's what's really disappointing about it. And I also want to make the acknowledge something too, is that a lot of the quote alternative media is just as biased and sometimes even worse than the mainstream media. It's not like mainstream media bad, alternative media good. I think that a lot of mainstream media is corrupt, but I also think a lot of alternative media is corrupt. I think the only saving grace of alternative media is that it doesn't try to present itself as an objective source. You know, it doesn't say like, hey, we're a news station and we only report the facts. You know, they acknowledge the fact that they have a bias or an agenda going into it, so you can watch it with that context in mind, rather than watching something with, like, the context of, like, oh, this is supposed to be an objective point of view. Who's watched Breach video? People stop fucking asking about it? Stop. Not a single media is unbiased. Yeah, but, like, I think that you can clearly draw a difference between, like, I think that there's a spectrum for this. Yes, you're right that nothing is unbiased, but holy fuck, we are not going to compare Alex Jones to, like, some citizen reporter like this, are we? We're going to say this is the same thing because they both probably have some degree of bias? No, this is ridiculous. Let's talk about reality.